Hi, Joanna.
Hi, Mr. Marson. How are you?
I'm doing fine. It's January 18th. Heads up to everybody listening to us. Joanna is a little bit under the weather. She may be coughing from time to time, so we apologize in advance. So I'll do the quick intro. We're going to try to save your voice, and then you're going to be chiming in as we go along. Why are we here? So another episode in the series. We're basically documenting the journey. We've lost 100. We want to lose another 100. It's a battle, ongoing battle. So, and we're documenting everything. We're basically sharing what works for us, what got us to the 100, and what we're gonna continue on doing until we reach the next 100. So today's episode is about we started off with the idea of called plunges because you can't talk about like health benefits and losing weight with the it's been really hot topic lately. A lot of people are doing it sort of in there's different ways of doing it, and
Yeah.
we just want to talk about benefits. Why is it good for you? Why is it good for your body, both for your physical body and for your mental stability? So today we're talking about cold plunges. By the end of it, you'll kind of know the benefits. You'll know kind of what we're doing with cold plunges. And am I forgetting anything?
And basically how you can start it at home without
Yeah. So basic
any
steps.
money investing into it. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay. So are you going to start us off with where are we starting? Are we talking about benefits first?
Yes. So no, let's just talk about this whole thing about um sort of what happens when you get into cold water or when you're cold
What
outside.
is
You go outside. Yeah.
Yeah, what is a so it's not cold plunge. Cold plunge is the one of the formats of being exposed to cold in general.
Yeah.
So are we? Yeah. So before we talk about cold plunges, exposure to just cold in general.
Cold. Yes. So
Okay.
exposure to cold. When we go outside, we're cold, we shiver, our muscles contract. Inside, we start up. That's how we start up our engine inside the burner to start producing heat. We feel warmer. But there's another way. It's it's called non-shivering, thermogenetics. I'm sorry. And this is a way that your body naturally produces another type of fat, a brown fat, and that brown fat uses and burns glucose to keep you warm. So the point of the game here is to have a lot of the brown fat in your body so it can actually eat any extra glucose floating around in your body.
Hmm.
Okay. So, two types of fat. We have the white fat that we all don't like. This one stores all the extra sugar we eat as fat, and that we see it around our body. And then there's the brown fat that actually burns this all of this extra sugar. It sees it floating around. It takes it and it starts burning it to keep you warm. um it, it's it's a great thing to have, and it's also seen in people that are lean. So if the more brown fat you have, the leaner your body mass is, which is amazing. I personally would never think of that I want more of a fat on me, but it's an important fat. um so ex- Exposing yourself to cold actually increases this brown fat that we need in our body to keep our engine burning and eating up more sugar. Now, the game is, how do we get more of this brown fat and how do we activate it to have it be working more often? Okay. The point of the game here is to expose yourself to cold. The more you expose yourself to cold, the more this brown fat is activated. It's just like fasting. The more you fast, the more you're going to start burning. There's a study done that even a month of sleeping in temperatures that are 66 degrees Fahrenheit will increase your brown fat and decrease your blood sugar levels. Amazing. This is the game that we're aiming for, right? Is to be more sensitive to to insulin and to glucose to be able to burn all that stuff better. Anything so far, Marcin, that you want to add?
No, I think you're saying the brown fat and the white fat. The brown fat causes the white fat eventually to burn, right? So
Correct.
why do we care? That's my question. Why do I care about this brown white fat business? Well, it's because when the brown fat we start burning into that first for energy, and then that helps us burn the white fat, which is ultimately what we would like to do because we would like to lose fat. So, just for clarification.
Correct. And you want to turn as much of that white fat into your brown fat, almost that sort of thing. And the way to do it is to actually expose yourself to cold. Okay. Another great benefit of this exposure to cold is your increase your dopamine levels by 250%, which is completely amazing to me. So definitely it's a beneficial way of adding into your things that you're doing. Not only are you going to start burning more fat, the visible fat, you're going to decrease your insulin levels or your glucose readings on your monitors. Your fasting ones are going to decrease, and on top of that, it's also going to give you mental benefits of feeling energized and less depressed. And that's where Marcin comes in, and he'll share with us his experiences and a little bit more on the topic.
Okay, is this the time for me to share my experiences right now?
Yes, I can't.
Uh,
I'm having a hard time doing this, you guys. Marcin's
no,
the
no, no, it's okay. So let me just, and I know you're struggling a little bit. It's totally okay. I understand how you feel, but the couple things here. So you've sort of explained the science behind it, right? The benefits, like you mentioned, dopamine. You did mention the fat. Did you mention? I want to add to that list, just sort of high level. When people talk
yeah.
about being exposed to cold or cold water, they talk about usually they talk about dopamine is very important, but like they talk about improved circulation. Did you mention
Yeah.
circulation?
No, I did not.
Okay, so cold water basically causes your blood vessels to constrict and then dilate, right? So they get smaller, they get bigger. It's good for your cardiovascular because when whoever runs into problems with cardiovascular is because the pressure in your blood, your veins get smaller to the point where your blood pressure rises because it has to push harder through the
Yeah.
smaller pipes. So working your veins, basically, right? Those channels, those pipes, to get bigger and smaller, it's great. It's like working your muscle. So improved circulation is very important. The other thing that I don't think you mentioned was reduced inflammation.
No, I did not.
So for me, I'm going to talk about my experience. Whenever, let's say you're doing fasting, you're on point, you're doing well, and then holiday comes in or whatever. Let's say we just went through Christmas or New Year's, and you eat bad for a week or two. The first thing that's going to happen is inflammation, meaning your body will store more water because you have more junk in your body. So your body's natural defense mechanism is to basically surround any area that's sort of being flagged as like, hey, there's a problem there. You know how you cut your finger and it gets swollen a little bit? Like that's all water, right? So same thing happens inside your body when you're eating junk and the food gets stuck in your intestines. Your body just accumulates water all around it. That's why we like gain this weight. It's usually we feel like bloated almost, and it's all because of that stuff that junk sitting in your body. So with cold water, it's so much easier, so much quicker to get rid of it. Not only it helps with the water absorption and like storage in your body, but it also helps your muscles with inflammation and
Mhm.
soreness. you probably have seen athletes, like high performing athletes. I'm going to use an example of like, football, soccer players are usually after the game, first thing they do, or basketball players, they hop into like a big bucket of water with ice. And the reason for that is exactly to get rid of inflammation and get rid of soreness, because it helps your muscles a lot. Um, boosted immune it boosts your immune system. I have to tell you my personal experience after I started doing cold plunges, because that's what I do. I noticed that I get sick less often. And this may be super weird, but the thing is, think of it as your immune system is almost like your muscle as well. So
Yeah.
the more you exercises, the better it gets, right? I'm going to use an analogy which always comes to my mind. As we get older, there's this counterintuitive thinking about what you should be doing. A lot of people think that as you get into your 70s and 80s, that you should be like you should not be moving a lot, or that maybe you should not be going outside a lot because you're going to expose yourself to cold and you may get sick, or what if you fall if you get out. But like, the reality of the situation is, if you look at studies and proof and data, because that's really what we care about, it's not about anybody's opinion, it's about looking at the proof, is that you should be moving, because muscle retention in your 70s, your 60s, your 80s, or as we get older in general, is super, super important. So yes, you should be moving. Same thing with like exposing yourself to cold. The more opportunities your body have to like get cold, the better it will get at fighting cold. So it's just one of those things. And I noticed personally, the more I do it, the more frequently I do it, the more regular I am with this, I just get less sick. It's the weirdest thing ever, but it works. So I'll continue to do it. You mentioned increased dopamine levels. All I just want to say here from my personal experience, and also by reading articles, that when we consume food, you guys, if you watched any of the previous episodes, like Joanna talks a lot about spikes. So when we eat, we automatically create glucose spike. The difference between eating healthier food is basically that spike is not so aggressive, it's not so short. We're basically, with good food, extending the spike, so that energy, that glucose in your body becomes more regular, not as aggressive, and longer. With dopamine, it's sort of like the same idea here. When you have dopamine spikes, your reward system kicks in. It could be something simple, drinking coffee, and your dopamine spikes. That helps people because they feel more energized, more focused. With cold plunges, the data shows that those spikes get much, much longer. So instead of getting like after coffee, you may be energized for about an hour, maybe two. For those of you that are more sensitive, with cold plunges, that spike may last 4 to 6 hours. So it's huge. I personally noticed that I do my cold plunges in the morning, and always when I'm a little sluggish, when I'm just kind of groggy, and even if I don't want to get into cold water, I still do it, just because I know immediately after that I am full of energy, I'm super focused, I am motivated to do stuff. So that's just in general, good for you. And then also, which is very more on a mental side, I don't think Joanna covered that, was like an basically not emotional, but it's just resilience, in mental resilience in general. Because the more you expose yourself to something you don't necessarily like, the better you get. Again, it's like working your muscles. The better you get at handling any other challenges. So for me, there's actually a part in your brain. I can't from off the top of my head tell you what it is, but there's actually a part of your brain that grows the more resilient you become. So it's like building your muscle. That thing gets stronger and bigger, because you expose your brain to dealing with something that's uncomfortable. So that's I've noticed personally a difference over a long period of time, that when I do cold plunges, it helps me tremendously. So as far as benefits, I think that is it. I don't know if you wanted to comment on anything that I said.
Mm, no, no, no. I think that so I did only one with Marcin, and it wasn't even in very cold water. And I can say that I was definitely more clear and sharp for a longer time than just coffee. It almost felt the same as when I fast for over 36 hours.
Yeah,
The energy and the clear, I can't explain how clear your brain is thinking. But I think with the cold plunge I also was in a good mood, which was very
yeah,
interesting. So
yeah. And the cold plunges, the think about it this way. When you let's define what is cold first. So when we were in Connecticut and I wanted to, it wasn't a plunge, it was just exposure to cold water. In Connecticut, I've tried a couple times, and in the wintertime, your actual water from the faucet, right, from your shower, would get colder in the winter and a little warmer in the summer. In the winter, it would get pretty cold. I think the temperature of, you guys can check, measure, and please tell me if I'm wrong. But I think it's around 70 degrees, maybe a little lower. Um, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's
I
60.
think a little
Um,
lower, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, please add comments under the video and let me know what it really is if you can measure it. But I think it's within that range from 60 to 70. When people talk about, it really depends on who you talking to, because very often when we talk about intermittent fasting, you have the purists that do only fasting with water.
Mhm.
That's not us. That's not us. Our goal is to lose weight while using intermittent fasting while not going crazy. So ours is more like a dirty fasting. Same thing with cold plunges. People will say it's not a cold plunge unless it's under 50 degrees. Again, I'm not disagreeing with them. All I'm saying is that you can get benefits over 50 degrees, and you don't have to do anything crazy. In the world of people that are doing cold plunges, because that's the quickest, fastest, easiest way to get really cold really quick. They use different sort of ways of doing it. So some people take cold showers. Some people do plunges in those like special tubs. Tubs tend
Mhm.
to be super expensive, but they also, you can get one on Amazon for $100 and just fill it with water and some ice. So they do tubs, they do cold showers, and here in Florida in the wintertime especially, we just hop in the pool, and obviously it's not heated. So then the water tends to be at around, the last one I when I was in the pool was around 56 degrees. So it gets pretty cold. And did I lose my train of thought? So basically, so okay, so we defined what it is, right? You mentioned the sort of effect when you get to this cold water. Now I'm back. When you get to this cold water, this clarity and focus and just awareness, like you wake up really really quick, is, imagine like you're exposing yourself to something really cold, something that your body is not used to, and the first reaction from your body, your brain, all the blood is being pushed into your brain because it's just survival mode. So like your whole brain wakes up, all the oxygen with the blood goes into your head. It's a great wake up call for your body. When you do it in the morning, it's fantastic. um, I think the first thing, when people think about cold plunges, very often I go out and like do my cold plunge. And then Joanna the other day, saw me getting in. It was like 43 outside, and I got in the water and it was 54. I would never recommend anybody doing that on your day one. It's just not sustainable. Not something you should be even trying. It's probably not good for your body to hop into a water like this, because you can probably ask you for a heart attack. But what I've noticed with myself, the way I was kind of able to do it, because it sucks anyway, right? Was get into it gradually. So end of summer, water is at the regular temperature, 80 degrees, and as time goes by, month after month, I basically, it just drops naturally, right? So you go from 80 to 78, 76. And if you do it regularly, you can't really tell the difference because it's just naturally dropping and dropping and dropping down. By exposing yourself to this water, it's almost like, if I asked you to like go outside every day and just walk for 10 minutes, it wouldn't be as difficult. If I asked you on a first day to go for 3.5 miles, like that would be a challenge.
Yeah.
So we constantly preach small steps regularly for over a long period of time instead of going crazy and doing something that's not sustainable for the longer term. So what I say is gradually try to gradually get into it. Let's say you're doing a shower. The typically what people typically do is they get into a shower, they wash their bodies, they rinse off, and at the very end of it, they just drop temperature a little bit. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. You don't have to do immediately ice cold water, but try not to finish with a hot shower. Just add something that's a little bit noticeably colder, right? And then do it for 2 days, 3 days, and then drop the temperature again, and just continue doing this continuously, and you will notice a huge difference in how you feel. And make sure that when you're doing this, Tim Ferriss talks about it a lot in our body. He says make sure that the cold water that's coming out of your shower, hits the back of your head, because this is really where anything in your body activates. Think of it this way: when you're in a cold water, your body really knows it's in trouble. When cold water gets to like this level of your neck, because next thing is brain, so your body really sort of, it's like a detection point, right? Like
Self-preservation.
signaling
Yeah.
signaling system that, like, hey, we really have to now react because the next thing, brain may fail. So when you're doing the cold water, make sure it's back of your neck. Same thing when you're doing cold plunges. It's not recommended actually to go underwater because you kind of want to preserve your brain. uh, Heat is not good for your brain, neither is super cold water. So you don't have to submerge, but just get enough deep enough to get that cold water on the back of your neck, and that's really how you can get going. If you have one of the tubs, then I don't have to explain because you're probably doing it already. If you're planning on getting one,
Yeah.
same deal. Try with colder. Make the water colder over period of a couple of days or weeks, and eventually try to get it to the point where it's around 60 degrees. Because that's when you're really feeling the benefits. Joanna mentioned she was trying to do cold exposure with temperature of water around 68 degrees. To her it felt cold. I have to tell you, the colder you get, the better you're gonna feel. It'll suck, and I gotta tell you, when I got started, the preparation of getting into doing cold plunges is not just with the temperature of the water. It's not the physical, it's the mental. And we talk about meditation a lot, because I got to tell you, if anything, this is where you kind of control your thoughts, control your reactions. So if you're used to just meditating, taking some time off and like controlling your thoughts, natively, when you get into a cold water, every single cell in your body tells you to get out. So
Hmm.
fighting through that urge and just kind of finding a space for yourself for about minute to minute and a half to, like, I don't know, think of a color, think of a good place that brings good memories. I think of breathing a lot because it helps me to kind of struggle through that phase. And literally 1 minute into 1.5 minute to 2 minutes into it, you feel cold, but it's like a something that you can definitely deal with for the next, let's say, 3 minutes. I typically do 5 minutes. People recommend doing from 3 to 6 minutes or 3 to 8. I'm somewhere in the middle. It works for me. Maybe it'll work for you. So this
Yeah.
is how you would get going. Anything from your side on how to start it?
No, I did try the shower.
Mm-hmm.
I always tend to be in a rush, which is bad. But yeah, but after you take a shower, you're nice and warm. Decreasing the temperature really works. I got into the point where I can turn it off completely, wait a little bit, turn it on, and then have the cold water sit under the cold water for a while, and you shiver. Remember, you need to shiver. If you're shivering, it's good because your body is naturally trying to keep itself warm. So yeah, that's it. Also, if you live like in areas where there's rivers and lakes, try doing what Marcin said. Towards the end of the summer,
Yeah.
start going in the water as it decreases in temperature, and that's a good way to get into it as well. So
Yeah.
you definitely don't need to buy expensive things. You could do it in a shower, in a bathtub, or even in your lake. A lot of people do that. They get together with friends, and that's their thing that they do. They jump into they walk into a cold lake or the ocean, and it's just the way to keep healthy. So
Yeah, true. Easier said than done, but it's
yes.
definitely worth trying. And just so I can back it up with, where do we get this information? I typically I have two sources for the cold plunges. I wanted to with you guys to take a look at something here. Let me just pull up the website. So this one I always go to. That's my go-to source, National Library of Medicine. It's a consolidated sort of library of different articles about medicine. So this one, I'm not going to go through details. I just wanted to point in case you were interested and like, hey, I just want to read more on it and have some more details, and that those are backed up by science and experimentation. This one, the effects of cold water immersion on the recovery of physical performance, revisited, a systematic review with meta-analysis, talks about it's basically a study with temperatures showing what happened and all the benefits. So if you're interested, you can take a look there in that library. There's two people that I kind of follow. I like listening to interviews, and since we're always catering additional information to you guys from sort of the outside things we're going, reviewing, reading, watching, I watched this guy, Gary Brecka. You may be familiar. If you're not familiar, he actually became a advisor to Dana White, the UFC president, and made tremendous health changes in how he acts, behaves, feels. All of his medical records improved. So Gary Brecka, known name in the industry, and Gary talks about cold plunges all the time. This is just an example of him in his house. This is something that's absolutely on the crazy end. That's not something we would be even considering. But you can see his cold plunge. It's one of those. It looks almost like a lot of people, believe it or not, instead of jumping or like putting water and ice in the tub, some people reuse freezers, actual old freezers that they would keep in their garages or behind a house or whatever because the freezer will keep the temperature of the water, so you don't have to spend as much money on the ice, and that's what they would do. So this is very similar idea. It's just more fancy and looks pretty in your house. So that's what he's using, and it's a daily habit. I think I see the temperature on the meter there. It says 50 degrees, which is exactly what we were talking about. And from what I'm hearing, anything beyond 50 degrees, every single degree, it's another level of crazy. I usually, when I say cold, anything under 60 for me feels cold. Like your body. How can I paint the picture for you guys? So anything temperature of 70 degrees, it's just gonna feel colder. 65, you're still gonna feel colder. When you get closer to 60, it is what I would say, it's a cold water, but your body still does not react, so you don't have any redness. Your skin is still intact. Like you're just cold. You may shiver, some goosebumps here and there, probably everywhere, but it's not really really cold. The second you get under like 55, 58, 56, you're going to feel a lot of discomfort. It's not just cold anymore. Your body, because of this cardiovascular response in your body, the blood is being pumped underneath your skin because that's just the response to keep you alive, right? So you may notice some redness on your skin when you get in. Anything under 60, you're going to see it. The closer you get to like 55, 54, but your body, like I said, gets used to it. Your body is amazing in terms of how it can respond to stuff. But this is Gary and his cold plunge. Another person that I sometimes listen to is Dr. Rhonda Patrick. And if you're interested, you can look her up. There's a bunch of stuff with her, like interviews on YouTube. So I recommend you guys watch that. And if not, you can look at her blog website. This is a section dedicated to cold exposure. This is like a super long blog post, but it talks about cold exposure. Why is it good for you? It has all the categories of the like benefits, how you would categorize them. Talks about water temperature. Talks about like nerve about neural response in your brain. So anything you need to know about how cold plunges help you, I would just read this article. It'll take you a while, but it's awesome. So once now we sort of have established the credibility with the information, we've talked about benefits, and I actually right before recording this, I was looking at the at both like Gary Brecka's information and Dr. Rhonda Patrick's information, and I wanted to compile like a super fast list. I'm going to take you guys through like a super high level. Again, those are going to be like benefits mixed with like how cold plunges impact your body in a positive way. And here is the list. I had a couple notes here. Let me pull it up. So first, energizes your cells. Cold exposure helps your cells make more power plants. I call it power plants. It's really mitochondria in your cells, giving your body more energy. So more energy. Number two, feel good chemicals. Jumping into cold water makes your body release chemicals that boost your mood and help you feel alert and focused. Those are the neurotransmitters. Anything in your brain that kind of floats around, think of it as like oil in your car engine. So that's number two. Number three, builds your superpowers. So cold water challenges your body in a small way, and it helps you get together. And it helps you get together and better at handling other challenges. This is the part where I was saying like, hey, once you build that muscle, it's really it's easier for you to handle other challenges that you can encounter during the day. So that's number three. Number four is boost your defenses. This is the, I actually mentioned that before. Cold water help your body make more fighter cells to protect you from getting sick, and this is the immune system part of it. So I think that was number four. Number five, calms swelling. I mentioned that. So if your muscles are sore or swollen, cold water can help you cool them down and make you feel better. That's number five. Number six, happy brain, sharp mind. Joanna talks about it. Those are the chemicals in your body that make that during cold exposure are being released, and they help you feel more clear and happier. I believe the chemical responsible for that is oxytocin, which is basically a happy hormone. So more of that in your body. And then if you're counting, I think number seven, it helps you stay healthy. So cold water can make your body help your body deal with sugars and fats. Joanna talked about it. So it actually taps into your glucose levels and insulin levels and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So it makes you healthier. And let's see if Joanna's paying attention. What number are we on?
I think you're on 8.
Very good. Cell protectors. When you get cold, your body makes special proteins that help protect your cells and keep your brain healthy. And then number 9, and I think that's the last one, it's actually not a benefit. It's more of a legal disclaimer. Cold water is great, but you need to be careful. So start slow. Don't stay too long in the cold water, and just make sure there's somebody around. Always check with your doctor. especially if you're in have some special conditions or medication, or you shouldn't be just sort of experimenting with super cold water. Don't jump into a 50-degree water for the first time. So take it easy. And those are the benefits. We highly recommend it. Joanna's trying it. She committed to doing more of the cold plunges. The reason why we're saying, she mentioned like, hey, exposing yourself outside. Is going outside without a t-shirt a good idea for guys? Yes. For ladies, maybe not so much. But the thing is, it's all about how fast can you get that cold inside your body, and it's just transmitting heat, and water is better at doing that. This is air. That's why a lot of like swimmers, Michael Phelps was super popular for, I think this is the Olympic multi gold medalist. He was talking about a lot about like eating. He was on like a 4,000
Yeah,
to
like
like
a high calorie.
6,000 calorie diet, and they were like, people were asking like, that's impossible. Like, how can he possibly burn that off? Water, because he was in the pool for like 12 hours straight every day, or for whatever 6 days a week.
Yeah.
So and by just burning energy and giving away heat, you can consume 4,000 to 6,000 calories a day. So it's great for you. I would recommend it. Joanna said she's going to try a colder temperature. I'm going to hold her to it. And I think that's it from me. Anything else from you, Joanna?
Nope, that is it. I definitely would consider looking at the benefits of it and see if you can do something. Start out small. Start with a shower. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, don't make it into this big thing. It doesn't have to be big.
Yeah.
Little steps forward are better than no steps at all.
And guys, it's fun. Try it once. The worst that can happen, you're going to make a lot of noise in your house. So, and it's going to wake you up. So I can't recommend it enough. I think we're doing pretty good. 36 minutes. We promised you guys that we're going to be making those episodes shorter, more absorbable. The goal is still to go down under probably 20 minutes. Today it was a lot because it's a lot of information. Joanne actually wanted to add more. She wanted to talk about oxygen and breathing and light, and we'll talk
Yeah,
about it in the next
that's
episode.
fine.
But for today, we're good. Joanka, feel better.
Thank you. All
All
right,
right.
take care, everyone. Fast
See you
on, my
guys.
friends.
Bye.
Bye.